Second show continues. Carney to Tyrell.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Meg Show. You're here with me, Meg, and
me, Meg.
Both Megs here today. Really, really exciting episode we got for you guys. We're going to kind of be running through this a little bit because I know we've been talking about this for a little while now, but we are having our first guest on the podcast today. At the end of this episode, you'll hear from a current star player from one of your favorite schools. I don't know who you guys support, but really excited about that. So we're going to run through what happened or our games that we were looking forward to, answer some questions, and then you guys will get to know a little bit more about us and about this player that we talked to. So week 5, that's what we're talking about this episode. Looking back from this previous week, Northwestern Denver, this was a really exciting matchup. It stayed close pretty much the entire game up until the fourth quarter. Northwestern put up 5 goals, which you put up 5 goals in a quarter, that's really good for your team. They ended up pulling out a win 14-10. Not to say that Denver didn't play well. I just think, having that strong fourth quarter, if you're any team having a strong fourth quarter, we like your chances of winning. So that was the final score for that game. La Liberty had a really good game again. We're kind of seeing her being a little bit more consistent as the season's going on. So excited to see the direction that she'll be going as the season goes on, how good she's going to get.
For sure. And then next we had a good old classic ACC matchup, Duke versus Pitt. Both teams are fighting for an ACC win and just a win in general. We did have Duke come out on top 13-11. Very close game. Pitt did come out firing 5 goals in the first. Ava Washington herself had 5 goals on the day. Had a hat trick solely in the first quarter. Duke took 37 shots. Pitt only took 19. So at that rate, Duke is bound to get a few more in the back of the net than Pitt. Katie DeSimone literally playing lights out this season.
Annihilated.
She's underrated. She is so good. She's got 7 goals. She is carrying the Duke team right now. But yeah, Duke came out on top 13-11. 7 of those were Katie's.
Yeah, and I want to say, I could be wrong now, but I'm pretty sure either a week ago or so, Katie was leading the NCAA.
Yeah.
In goals or points or something like that.
I think you're right.
If you're playing against Duke, you better keep an eye out on her. She is phenomenal as a scorer, feeder, dodger. So pretty much triple threat out there. A game that I picked wrong, I think Meg did as well, is Notre Dame UVA. They played at Arlotta Stadium out in South Bend, and what a game that was from the first draw all the way to the end. It was just a lot of good lacrosse being played, and something that I think we've been seeing, and something I said earlier in this season, is that UVA is a dangerous team. They're in that same category as Loyola and Florida. When you play them, you better have your scouts right. You better be ready because they're going to come at you with everything. They play hard. They play physical. And something that really stood out to me was their zone defense. Notre Dame has such a talented offense in all 7 spots out there. So having their defense match up, so they play like a zone type defense, having them match up against this really talented offense and keeping them basically for the whole game to under 10 goals up until the end. I think that was a really, really well done job by their defense, by their midfield, by their goalie. Towards the end of the game, I think we were able to see UVA make a couple of big plays. We saw some mess ups on Notre Dame's side, which UVA was able to capitalize off of. And they ended up capturing the win. UVA won 12-10. We said Notre Dame was going to win that game, but like Meg said previously, we love when people kind of prove us wrong, keeps things interesting, and definitely keeps the rankings interesting, which we will kind of get to.
That is very true. These rankings have been all sorts of shaken up this year. Next game we had was Penn State Rutgers, another conference Big Ten matchup. Penn State did win 10-9 in overtime, just barely squeaked through with that win. Rutgers had a big first quarter, had 4 goals, 5 caused turnovers by the end of the second, which is insane. Penn State had an explosive second quarter coming out with 6 goals. So going into halftime, it was 7-6 Rutgers at half. Our girl Cassidy Spillis with a hat trick already in the first half. Shout out Cassidy, our Tourton watch list. huge Penn State defensive efforts, keeping Rutgers scoreless for the third quarter. They were Rutgers was able to tie it up to go into overtime. Spill is having late goals to force overtime. She had 5 goals on the day. She is actually legit. And then Penn State won the draw, and Gretchen Gilmore scores the game winner. She had 4 goals on the day to lead the team. Win the game, seal the day in overtime, and Penn State won 10-9.
That game was also really exciting, and I think we should form a Cassidy Spillis
Fan club.
because at this point we're saying her name left and right.
Do you think she even listens to this podcast?
Probably not.
Probably
but
not.
One can hope. Great job, Cassidy. Big fan. Rooting for you down the line. Another really anticipated game, I'm pretty sure like lacrosse game day was there, was Maryland versus, no, I swear to God, did you see it on US Lax Mag?
I'm sorry. Lacrosse game day?
Yes, did you look at it?
Yeah, it was just a funny way to put it.
Whatever.
Like college game day, college
Yeah,
football
that's
game
what
day.
I meant.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Wait, what did I say?
I picked. No, you said it right. It was just funny comparing lacrosse to that.
Oh, well, that's what it said.
Yeah, for sure. That was like the game of the weekend, the spotlight.
Yeah. Okay.
Continue.
Anyways, they were there in spirit, and it was a really good game. Maryland ended up winning 11-8 against a number 2 ranked JMU at the time. Maryland was ranked number 9. I don't actually remember what I picked for this game. I think I picked Maryland to win.
I think we both picked Maryland.
Yeah. Maryland's been on a hot streak. They're a really talented team, and I think they were ready to give JMU a good game. In the past 2 times that they've played each other, JMU's come out on top, most recently playing in the NCAA tournament, ending Maryland's season. So you know they're coming into this game with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, ready to play. Huge day, obviously, from none other than Libby May. She had a team-high 4 goals, and someone we can't forget, someone that was a Tewaaraton finalist last year. She's back again this year at JMU. Isabella Peterson, she had 4 goals on the day to lead the team. Unfortunately, wasn't enough to kind of put a stop to Maryland's run.
Actually, you picked JMU. I picked Maryland. Wah, wah, wah.
Dang, I was wrong.
Anyways,
again.
on to the next. Stony Brook versus Denver. I picked Denver. You picked Stony Brook. I got it right. Denver came out with a good Monday afternoon win, 8-7 against Stony Brook. Awful conditions. If you look at the highlights on Instagram, social media, it was so windy. I don't know how they did not blow over. It was probably freezing cold as well. Yeah, goal with 14 seconds left in the fourth helped Denver secure that win. Just a poor pass. Denver gets picked up by Jane Early, and she picked it up, shot, scored. So
that's game. 14 seconds left. What more? I mean, 14 seconds is a lot of time, but
yeah. And then Denver ended up winning that draw control next possession to help secure that win as well. Very low scoring first half. I feel like that is a common theme with Denver, is what I'm noticing. Quarter 1, 1-1. Quarter 2 going to half 3-2. Stony Brook was up, so very low scoring, slow start. That is a lot of running back and forth. Those poor girls, especially running against the wind, that probably was not too fun.
yeah.
Julia Gilbert had 4 goals on the day. Ellie Macera and Charlotte
Verhulst.
Yeah, I was going to really botch that. They both had hat tricks. Both teams had shots early on, just couldn't capitalize. I'm sure the wind was just blowing the ball, so give them the benefit of the doubt there. Yeah, both defense, long runs, big, long offensive possessions. Defense was playing a lot.
Yeah, so not the best week of picks for me. Can't get them all, but we love a good upset, no matter if it's in my head or on paper.
Also, am I looking? Yeah, this is the right week. We both got Penn State Rutgers wrong. You thought you got that right. You put Rutgers. Unless I
You
just
must have botched this because I picked Penn State.
unless I did it wrong.
Texts.
I'm looking right now.
Guys, this could be bad news, but I swear I thought I picked Penn State.
Yeah, no. You picked
You're
Rutgers.
lying.
You picked Rutgers.
Well, I apologize. I am going to have to look back at this, but oh well.
Another game that was crazy results, big game of the weekend that we did not really think to put on our radar, but now Hopkins is making a name for themselves.
Hopkins is
They
on the
are
move, people. Up and
on
up
the
and up.
move. They are flying under the radar, not so much anymore because they are just winning games left and right, big games for them especially. Hopkins took down Stony Brook. They pulled out the win 14-12. Something that was very, very sad for women's lacrosse. Game of lacrosse in general because there are other games that this happened to. Very poor broadcast for every game except for the very last game of the day at the classic that was being held that weekend in Charlotte, North Carolina, or Cary, North Carolina.
Charlotte. It's
Cary?
where we Nope, it's where we played the ACCs.
Yeah, wasn't that in Cary?
Nope, that was the Nationals. I mean Final Four. Oops.
I don't even know where the Final Four was.
The Final Four was in Cary, North Carolina. Meg, we were there.
I know. I can't even envision what that field looked like.
It was the soccer field, the grass.
Holy
No, nothing
smokes. I got nothing.
Yeah, so there was a lot to talk about for the broadcast situation, which is so upsetting because it's not like all of the equipment wasn't there that was going to be ready for the game that was being played a measly, 2-3 hours after the last women's
not
game
even.
played. It's not like there was this huge turnaround where they had to bring in everything. It was all there. And to go to an event like that and then have a clear showing of this is where we're holding our importance. I think that that's a crazy move and just so disappointing because they had the broadcast going, but it was nowhere near
Oh my God, it was terrible. It was bird's eye view. There was no score, time clock, or anything on it. So zoomed out. It was so bad.
Yeah, so that was just something that was very heavily talked about in the lacrosse community and just really disappointing to watch, especially as previous players who these players train all fall. They get this chance in the spring. It's a fun classic tournament to be a part of, and to be in those conditions, it's really upsetting. So as much as we were all looking forward to watching it, we didn't get to watch what we wanted to. However, great day for Hopkins. Such a huge win for them. Their defense played lights out. They had a huge third quarter, and that was the first time they beat Stony Brook since 2015. So this was a long time coming for them, and really good job.
Yeah. Hopefully we can fix that broadcast issue because that is really sad.
Really sad.
Moving on, the rankings for this week. Oh my gosh.
There's just a
Insane.
huge difference between the two that we mostly look at, the IL Women one and then the US Lacrosse Magazine one.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was thinking about earlier today. When I was looking at the US Lacrosse one, it kind of looks like they just looked, which I guess is part of it, they just looked at the rankings, 6-1 or, undefeated or this and that, which I can understand. There's so much confusion going on, especially in the top 20 right now, that how do you even...
They should have just passed on the rankings this week.
No, thanks, guys. We'll try again next week.
Check back in next Monday. Yeah,
I thought that they were both so different. So you really get to pick and choose which one you want to be a part of this week. But I think the top 5, I think, has changed a bit, and that's an interesting look for sure.
So it's so interesting. I was looking at the USA Lacrosse Magazine one today when it came out, and my eyes were just going down the list and just kept going until I found Syracuse, and I was like,
yeah,
yikes.
It's a tough one, but a lot of season left, a lot of time for teams to move around.
For sure.
I'm positive next week we are going to be seeing a completely different look Just with the way games are going, it's basically anyone's spot up there right now.
For sure. Speaking of, we have full slate of games this weekend. Another just weekend of great matchups. To start us off, Wednesday we have Florida versus Princeton. Thursday we have Rutgers versus Michigan. Saturday we have UMBC versus Bryant at 11 a.m. Um,
So there was this player. I have to look up her name. It was like Kaut or something like Kuchi, I think might have been her last name. I could be wrong, but she the other week had 10 goals and like 15 draw controls when they were playing LIU. And I saw that and I was like, what a standout day. Like that never happens in my head. Like how often do you get someone that scores 10 goals and then also dominates the draw circle? It's crazy. So I
yeah.
just wanted to shout her out. I have to look up her name right now or else I'll feel really bad if I got that wrong. But I can keep going.
But yeah, then we have BC versus Notre Dame at 12 p.m. Huge game. Can't wait to watch that.
Huge.
Red bandana game for BC, so that means a little bit more for them. I believe. I'm like pretty positive that is. I'm pretty sure I saw that on their Instagram. But that definitely weighs a little bit heavier for them, has a little bit more meaning behind that game. Also a great ACC matchup. Then we have Virginia Tech versus Duke. Great, another ACC matchup. And then shortly just following that, actually they're all at 12 o'clock, of course. We got to get that figured out. We have Syracuse versus UNC. Syracuse needs this win. And if that's all I have to say, they just need this win. That would be huge for them. And then we have Stony Brook Towson, Temple Vanderbilt, UMass versus St. Joe's. Jordan, our former goalie at Syracuse, is now at St. Joe's, and she is killing it right now.
Fantastic. Jordan, you're doing so amazing. And just wanted to shout you out on here because you're amazing when you played with us and you're even better now. So
And
very
then we
happy
have
for you.
Stanford, Colorado, Fairfield versus Sacred Heart. And then Sunday, we have Yale, Rutgers, and then Denver, Stanford. So full slate of games once again. A lot of great matchups. Just another chance for them to shake up the rankings, really get important wins for those teams that are fighting for their next win, especially against a big matchup. Then that leads us into our questions of the week. So, first one is from a girl named Gabby. She asked us what our favorite celly is, what our favorite celebration is. Meg, do you have one?
I don't know if I have a specific one really. I think for women's lacrosse, when there's, I don't know, anytime you score, I guess, or if it's like a big goal and you put your entire back into throwing your stick down, I love the excitement that comes from that. I don't really have a specific celebration in mind. I also
Same.
didn't really celebrate a lot.
Yeah, you're very like level. Is that
I
like
kind of
level?
just, yeah, like there would be
You've
times
never
where I
got
would get
high
into
or
it.
low.
I
Yeah,
honestly, I can probably count on one hand how many times I got really excited after
yeah.
scoring, but I don't really have a specific celebration in mind that I can think
Yeah,
of.
I don't have a specific one. I love like the classic you score and then you jump up in the air with one of your other teammates. I don't know what you'd call that, but it's a good one. It gets the energy up, the vibes are up. Next question. What do you think the rationale is with changing your starting attackers and or starting defenders for man up or a man down scenario? Aren't the best people on the field already? Great question. So what this person is asking or like means if you are new to lacrosse, just started watching, you're not really understanding is if you are watching a game and there is a yellow card or green card now, and it causes for a man up, man down situation, sometimes you'll see teams completely sub out players, sub out a few players, both on offense and defense for the certain like man up scenario. And so this fan or follower is asking, why is this? What's the point behind it?
So when it comes to changing your starting attack or defense, it's basically just kind of figuring out who works better together, or especially if you have like a kind of starting lineup out there right now and you're not really getting the production that you want out of them, or maybe things just aren't clicking how you want them to, switching out one person or putting them in a different place on the field might just be the answer that you're looking for to have them give a different look. And especially when things aren't working too, like, which is why you do change things. But if you're out there and maybe there's this look that someone's not seeing, having someone else step into that role who can see that look is going to be important for the offense. So I think it's just kind of figuring out who works best together and where. So that's why we kind of see some lineups change. And I guess same thing with defense. If you're not shifting the right way, or if you're not covering a certain area,
Yeah.
it's crucial. So, you got to find someone who can do that. So that's why things switch.
It also can be, so when you go man up, you're playing, or I guess when you go man down, you shift into like a zone defense essentially. You're not playing man to man. So you might have teammates or players that are better out there against a zone defense, or a better vision when they're playing in a zone offense, if that makes sense. So like if you're man up, you're playing against an offense with a zone mindset, not man to man. So you're really, spacing is important, how you see the field, being able to know like where your teammates are going to be against a zone defense. And just knowing when that next pass is going to be, how to find the open player on a man up is crucial. Not everyone has that level of IQ or that vision. So there might be players that just perform better against a zone defense, so they will go in on man up. So that's also another reason.
I just want to backtrack to our Bryant girl, Kenna Kaut. It's Kaut. She had 10 goals on 11 shots, and the team had 15 draw controls.
10 goals on 11 shots. That's insane.
Yeah, so that's insane either way. I apologize for the wrong end of that statistic, but 10 goals on 11 shots is, it's amazing. So awesome.
All right, next question is, what are your thoughts on the recent rule changes? Now that we're a few weeks in, figured we'd circle back to this question. We do get it a lot. We did touch it early on in our first few episodes, but more green cards and physical fouls in the midfield. What are our thoughts? I still stand by, I don't like the green card. Still don't like it. I just gets rid of the ride, slows the game down. Yada, yada, yada. I don't like it.
Yeah, I am not a fan of it either. And I think it's also like we are seeing also the refs adjust to the green card rules. Like there's times where the refs will just like blow the whistle like it's a foul, and like girls keep running, but it's like, no, wait, you got to come back. That's a green card. And they're like, oh yeah, that's a green card. And it does slow the game down. The ride's basically gone. Anytime you touch someone, it's, you're risking a man down situation, which we are seeing people do a little bit of a ride, but a lot of times we're kind of seeing them back off a bit, and it takes away from the physicality of it, which I know you're trying to make it safer, but it's just, I don't know. I think there's a better way to go about it, at least.
I agree. I think we should revisit that at the end of the season. And you guys are whoever's on the board for that, you're more than welcome to have us join that conversation if you need.
Would love to be a
Don't
part
worry,
of that.
Just reach out. It's okay. Last question. What's a school you would love to see at a lacrosse program?
So I've had this like recent fixation for Charleston, South Carolina.
Same. I want to go there.
So
if anyone wants to have us out there to do a lacrosse camp, that would be great.
I will be there. I think it's a beautiful area. So I'm pretty sure, is that where USC is?
Southern Carolina, University of South Carolina.
Yeah.
I don't know where exactly it is, like city-wise,
I think
but
it's near there. I'm not sure.
I want to say no. But I'm also not positive. Not the best geography person.
Yeah, I also don't know, but I think having a lacrosse team in South Carolina would be a really good idea. Beautiful
my
state.
vote would be, yeah, beautiful. My vote would be UT, University of Texas, Austin, or like SMU in Dallas. Those would be sweet. I would gladly be your coach. Just kidding, I have a job. But those programs would be unreal. I would so go there. And helps grow the game, bring it down south. So those are our questions, and now we will bring in our special guest.
All right. Today we have a very special guest with us, our first guest of the podcast, We've been really excited to have her on. And if you already can't tell, this is Belle Smith. She is a multi-time All-American in college. She's a national champion, an ACC champion, ACC Midfielder of the Year. The accolades don't really stop with this one. Top 25 Tewaaraton Award finalist. And Meg actually played with her back in 2019, right? When you guys played for the
Yep.
gold medal. If
We
you
did.
kind of want to touch on that, you guys playing together, maybe start off there.
Yeah. I think, yes, Meg and I played together, but Meg, Tyra, and I also played against each other all through high school. One of my favorite high school pictures is a picture of me playing, and it's Meg playing defense on me, which you won't see in
We
college.
need to get that.
I have to show you
Oh.
the picture. It makes me laugh because I'm like, how did that even happen? But yeah, it's me dodging, and you're the one playing D on me. It's comical.
Oh my God, I'm sure that didn't go over too well for me. But
Yeah, but I've had my fair share of playing with both of these two, so grateful to be on here.
All right. So, Belle, you've been to Final Fours, national championship, you've won, you've lost. Walk us through sort of that experience, mentally, emotionally, both years, what both those experiences were like.
Yeah, I think because I'm very fortunate, I've been to the Final Four my 3 years that I've been here. But I think one thing that we always say at BC is just because we've been there doesn't mean it's something that you should expect every year, not even close. It should be something you're excited about and fighting for every single year. And it's something to be proud of every year. That's a really hard accomplishment to do. And I think when you're there, everyone always says, like, once you get to the Final Four, it's a clean slate. It's a refocus time, right? And I think that's something we take a lot of pride in at BC is when we're there, it's all business. As fun as it is to get there, once we're there, we're in meetings every second, focusing on game tactics, focusing on recovery. So it's a really fun experience, but it's also a really focused experience. I'm fortunate that I did win one my freshman year, but once you win one and you know what it feels like, all you want to do is do it again. So I've had the experience of both winning it and losing. And both are the highest emotions you'll feel, but opposite sides of the spectrum. So I think no matter whether it was a win or loss, all it makes you do is want to go after it again. Unfortunately, I have one more year to do that. So obviously that's the goal again, is to get there. And then once we get there, to refocus in on winning a national championship.
For sure. And one thing you mentioned there was recovery, and I'm so interested. I feel like especially nowadays with how important it is and how much focus goes to recovery. What does that look like for you guys at BC? Are you doing pool recovery? What do you guys do? Normal season when it's playoffs and you've got one day in between, what does that look like?
Yeah, we have a huge focus on it, especially over the past 2 years. I feel like it's become more of a thing than ever before, not just at BC, but honestly everywhere when I talk to other athletes as well. I think for everyone it's different, right? Everyone's bodies react differently to different things. But I know for me, I'm in before practice at least an hour before our first thing every single day. Whether that's being in the tubs, getting needling, which is something that's really working for me, or cupping, or rolling out, or all of it every day. And then the same thing post practice. I try not to leave until an hour after. And again, it's that same routine. Always talking with our trainers. We use catapults at BC that keep track of our distances during practice. So that is a huge factor on kind of telling us what we need to do for our bodies after. I know some schools do whoops as well, which tell them their recovery. I don't know if you two use them at all, but we get them at BC. I don't like wearing a whoop. I rather not know what my recovery is. Just going, thinking it's better than it is. But my teammates get mad at me about that one. But I think just for me, it's whatever the schedule says. If the schedule says we're in practicing from 2 to 4, I'm there from 1 to 5. And I kind of look at my schedule that way. And I'm sure you guys get that as well, right? You've been through it. But I'm trying to think what else. During playoffs, we do some pool workouts as well, or pool recoveries. But really in season, it's just getting into that training room and just having immediate focus on what works for your body the most.
For sure. Yeah. I feel like that's always, I don't know, not the tough part, but finding the time to recover is so crucial. And it might cause you to be at the facility 2 extra hours before and after. But yeah, I'm always interested to see what other teams do, because we would do random stuff.
I think that the pool workout, I didn't So when we would do the pool workouts, it was like you would have thought that you were telling us that we could never step inside someplace you really love to go ever again. It was we were getting dragged in there to go. But I just think it's interesting that more people kind of use the pool workouts because it makes sense why, and like the structure, how it's good for your muscles. It's less impact for recovery, stuff like that. But it was just, it's so funny. Like, what was your kind of, what do you guys do for your pool workout? Like, we would do like a ton of like leg swings, like stretches.
Yeah, ours is the same thing. We really do the pool workout when we have like back-to-back games. If it's like, and I say workout, it's not a workout, it's a pool like recovery session.
Yeah.
We do it when we have back-to-back games. So like, let's say we have a home seed playoff for the NCAA tournament. We'll do it between like our Thursday, Sunday game. And it's same thing. It's like leg swings and stuff. What we do is we go through our dynamic warm up that we do at practice, right before practice or for a game, but we do it in the pool. And like, as serious as you're trying to be,
Yeah.
no one can take it seriously. Of course, you're doing it seriously, but like everyone's dying laughing. Everyone looks like soggy. Like, it's just funny. Like, it's definitely something to laugh at, and it definitely brings out a lot of camaraderie. But same thing as you guys, just a lot of the dynamic warm ups, but in slow motion.
Would you do it when you would travel, like in a hotel pool?
We never did it in a hotel pool, but I'll never forget Final Four weekend. I want to say it was my sophomore year. There was no pool in our hotel, and they wanted us to do it. So we found like a YMCA like community pool, and like it was
Oh my
the
God.
funniest experience I've ever been a part of. We're all getting up the bus, like, where are we? Like, we were sharing the pool with like it was like Adult Swim. It was so, like it's something I'll like never forget, which is funny. Like you think certain weekends, like yes, I'll never forget like playing in my Final Four, but I also won't forget that pool recovery workout in the public pool.
I remember when we did it at U19 and Jay made us go in the pool. That was like the first time I've ever done it.
That was me too. I never did it before that, and then once we did it, then I feel like we did it often at BC, but it's funny. It's funny.
Yeah, I almost felt like they were making us, yes, it's good for you, but there are some times where I feel like they were just making us do it just to like make us get in the pool because they knew we didn't want to.
Yeah. They're like, okay. And at the end, it's like, okay, now everyone has to submerge. And you're like, really? I didn't want to get my hair wet.
Oh my God, they would make you go under?
Not actually, but like sometimes just to like,
Yeah.
you know, because they knew we didn't want to get our hair wet or something. You'd be like, okay, now everyone has to.
No, half our team would be like swimming, diving, jumping around in the pool. And I'm like, that's gross. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, Meg was always standing on the
all right,
steps.
cool.
Like,
oh yeah. I was like waist in. That's as far as I was going.
You're like, I'm good.
Yeah.
No,
No, it was just gross and like also cold. And so
did you
but
guys
it's good
tread
for you.
water? We tread water sometimes. I'm like the worst at it too.
ooh,
No, we would not.
it's so funny. I think also something that you mentioned that about kind of recovery with athletes or even just like in practice is using catapult, right? So for your catapult, do you guys have like the sports bra and you put it on the back?
Yep.
Yeah. So for those of you who are listening who might not be aware of what catapult is, it is basically this device. Belle kind of explained it really well. It kind of tracks your distance. I'm not sure what catapult wholly does, but we used a VX version of it. So it's just a different brand, does the same thing. Distance, impact, how fast you're running or what your highest speed of the day is, kind of just to make sure that when you're going through your practices, you're either staying on game pace or if maybe you've had higher numbers in the day, for us at least, like if you had higher day, the next day, you know, your trainers and your coaches make sure that you're not overworking yourself so we can kind of try to prevent the injuries. And if you want to speak a little bit more on catapult, if you know a little bit more about it and what your thoughts about it, if it kind of affects your day to day.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly, like kind of what we use it for. I will say since we started using it 2 years ago is when we really started like honing in on it. And I think this year more than ever, we're really focused on it. And like, I love it. I think my body feels so much better when we're using it and like actually keeping track of those statistics. So we'll have a day in season, like sometimes we have practices on like Saturday, Wednesdays, let's say. So like in preseason, we'll purposely have higher load Wednesdays and then lower load Thursdays, etc., so that we're training our bodies to get ready for our game schedule. which is something I really like. So by the time our first game comes around, it's a Wednesday game. My body's already used to going higher on Wednesdays, stuff like that, which I thought was really interesting. We also get pulled out of practice sometimes if we have one more drill left, and maybe they're saying, "Oh, Belle, like you're maxed out, like you're done. Just like listen in on this drill, like etc." So I think it's really important for recovery and also just like tracking how you're taking care of your body.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if you guys ever get pulled from drills because we would if
Mhm.
like our meters were too high. If we had like a minor injury or something like we were watching,
Mhm.
whether it's before a game or whatnot. But I was curious to see if you guys would get pulled from drills as well.
Yeah, we do the
Um,
same thing. And then I think one other thing is that's really great about it is, come end of the season, it's like your body as yes, it was doing all this work for so long, but it's still ready to go.
mhm.
Which I think is really cool to see.
Yeah, I think just the recovery or kind of just the care of athletes in recent years has just increased so much. And with all the technology that exists, it's just so great. And even with like the injuries that we are seeing in lacrosse and not even just in lacrosse, like
Mhm.
the United States women's soccer team has had some like lower body issues as well. So kind of seeing these things be developed to help keep athletes safe and in the game, I just think is so awesome. And it's so great that it's, here at the college level as well and kind of being more spread out. So I just wanted your opinion on that.
Yeah.
And going off of that, we were just talking about practice. What is one of your favorite drills that you do when you're at practice, if you have one?
Favorite drill. So some days we start off with army drill. I don't know if other teams do this or call it something different, but basically the nets go up to the 30 and it's almost like a sixes field and you're playing 4v3 on each side. Um, and then once you do a 4v3, let's say the defense gets a cause turnover, like goes right on to the other side. So that's something we try and start practice with just to get like morale up, competitive energy up. It's like a
Oh
10-minute
yeah.
segment. We keep track of score. There's always a winner and a loser. A lot of time we'll do public school versus private school, student or kids. We're not really kids, but so it gets super competitive. And then that's kind of a drill we try and do right before we get into like our scout segments and stuff because then the competitive energy is there, the chirps already happened, and everyone's like excited for the rest of the day. So I'd say army drill.
I love that drill.
Yeah. Is
That
that
drill is
what you
so
call it,
fun.
army drill?
We call it army. And it's like 4v3. You're not really moving that far. You're
Yeah.
sort of like in your own in a little box. Yeah, I love that drill. I used to get so sad because when I was out for my ACL, they would do it all the time. And so my job was to like stand there and pass balls in. I was like, I just want to play so bad. Now I
Yeah.
get to. But no, I do love that drill.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
is
I'm
your
assuming. Go ahead.
I was gonna say what is her least favorite drill?
Oh,
Least
that's a good
favorite.
one.
We have a drill that's basically the middies in the middle of the field, and you'll get the ball and run basically like 100 yards into like a 4v3. And then once the 4v3 is over, the middies have to run all the way back 100 yards into like the other 4v3 on the other side of the field. I don't know what we call it. I think our coaches call it midi drill. We on the side secretly call it kill the midi drill, but I don't really know that. So I'd say that one, which is funny because like I don't like it, but like we all always joke around. We're like, all right, like this is the middies time to get in shape for season. So like there's definitely pros and cons and like it brings all the middies together to like laugh about it. But I will say like we see like the 20 minutes go on the scoreboard and we know it's like the midi drill. And we're like,
Yeah.
we all look at each other. We're like, all right, get a drink of water, like stretch out the quads, like let's do this thing.
Yeah, no, we have a
That
drill like that.
was it like
Full field fast breaks, but it's
65
so nice for the
continuous.
attack.
Ugh.
Well, that's the best
Yeah.
part is when we do it. So we do it a lot, like the week leading up to NCAA's, like to get us like in shape for postseason.
Like you haven't been running all season.
Exactly. Um, and then we have bike workouts too sometimes. So that's a
Oh my
whole nother
God.
thing. But we'll do it like a few days in a row. So then like let's say it's like a Thursday and we see the 20 minutes go on the board and we all look at each other like it's the drill. But then the coaches will bring it in and be like, okay, like it's the midi drill, except today the middies get to be the attackers and defenders, and the attackers and defenders have to be the ones running up and down the field to like see how it feels. It's like the best 10 minutes of the entire season.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Do you guys, okay, this is something we talked about in one of our other podcasts that we do at Syracuse. Do you guys get a practice plan before, like day before or night before?
Mm-mm.
Like you have no idea what drills you're doing at practice?
No, I feel like we do a lot of the same type of things. Like I feel like we never go into a practice with a complete unexpected like plan, but we just get a plan of like our schedule, like okay, like film from this time, practice this time, lift after, whatever. But we're not told what we're doing in practice. No.
Yeah.
Did you guys?
Gary would always send us the practice plan the night before, like detailed to the minute, what each drill is, start to finish. And then Kayla came and she didn't do it. And we were like, heck no. Like,
Did you like it do you like it better knowing what you're doing?
yeah.
Like I would just
I
think
think
like I rather not
when
know.
you
I think it's like ignorance is bliss. I
Yeah.
rather not know I'm doing 5.1v1s until I'm 4 because I feel like the night before I
Oh my
would like
God.
not be sleeping. I'm like, okay, we have 30 minutes of 1v1s.
Yeah, no, it definitely goes both ways.
You guys are laughing. You definitely relate to that.
Oh, for sure.
The 5.1v1s, I'm like, oh my God, I'm having flashbacks. Yeah, no, I kind of liked having the practice plan because, yeah, I'd be anxious if I had a big like running day or something, but then I would just like know what's coming, opposed to being like getting there and it's like, oh, like good warm up, get on the line. I'd be like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, that's true. Especially if the team like messed something up with equipment and you didn't even realize, and it starts with that.
Yeah, it also helped
Yeah.
us like when Kayla came, she didn't do it, and it was like, dang, we're so used to this,
Yeah.
but like whatever.
We were
And then
blessed.
eventually she started doing it. Yeah.
Oh, she did.
Yeah,
Interesting.
eventually. Like, I don't think she did it her first year, but her second year she started to. But it was nice because it would make our practices more like efficient. Because half time we're just like standing around, like waiting for the next drill. The coaches are chatting, and we're like, all right, let's go to our next drill. So it made it
like,
more
you know what
efficient.
you're doing, so you can start setting it up and
Yeah.
stuff. That makes sense.
For sure.
Speaking of Kayla, for those who might not be aware, Kayla helped coach. She was the assistant coach at BC when Bell won a national championship. And now she's currently the head coach of Syracuse. And me and Meg had the opportunity to play under her for 2 years. And I guess when you had Kayla as your coach, what was that kind of like for you as far as from either mostly, I guess I want to say like an offensive standpoint, kind of getting in her head and comparing the games?
Yeah. I smile when you guys ask this. I love Kayla. She's one of the best coaches and mentors I've ever had. And I stand by that, and she knows it. And I'll say it to the day I die. I absolutely loved playing for her. I was so excited to play from her from the start, but then really getting to BC and getting to know her on a coach player level, but also just a friend level. I think she does a great job of doing that with her players, really connecting with you. And it makes you want to succeed for her. You know, like I would run off the field so excited to lock eyes with her. Like we just worked on that all week. Like someone that is so committed to the relationship and like empowerment aspect, both as like a player teaching you new skills and stuff, but as a person as well. I loved playing for her. She's the best. When she went to Cuse, we were all so happy for her. Obviously, she's an alum there who did amazing things for the program. So if there's anywhere that I could see her as a head coach, it's there. And we knew we were going to miss her so much, but we knew that she was meant to be there. So we were excited for her, but playing for her was something I will take with me for the rest of my life. And I still talk to her. Especially when we play Cute. Still say hi.
Yeah, she is the best. Literally learned so much from her, both like on and off the field, like you mentioned. Just like life lessons, how to carry yourself, and then just grew my game, I feel like, as a player, my skills, way I see the field. But yeah, she is awesome.
What about you guys going from you guys had Gary Gate, who's a legend in itself in the lacrosse world, and then going from that to also switching to Kayla Trainer, who's also a Cuse legend. Probably different coaching styles, but also different people as well. And both legendary people who I feel like everyone would want an opportunity to play for. So how was that transition for you guys?
I feel like Meg had a really good relationship with Gary, so I kind of want her to start off with this. Not saying I didn't, but they had a really good relationship.
Okay, so they are like the most different But like obviously both like lax rats. Like I'm convinced all that goes through their head is lacrosse in like a good way.
Mhm.
But like they're only thinking about lacrosse 24/7, which is awesome because it makes you better as a player, and they're trying to like make the game better and grow the game. Um but they are so different in the ways they coach. Kayla is very like involved, hands-on, like there's a play for everything. There's some like structure to everything we're doing. And she's very involved in that, which is great because she's so wise and like has so much knowledge, and obviously is more recent from the game and like was still playing with US. And so she still was current at the time, where Gary is like your old like wisdom, like just knows so much, but he wants to let us figure it out. He will like guide us, but he wasn't very involved in every single play we did. So it was very like, here are two like structures. You guys go with it, have fun, be creative. Where Kayla was, it was very like everything was so detailed, which is, I mean, I enjoyed both ways, but it was just so crazy how different they were. And Gary just like quiet, very like soft spoken. And yeah, I don't know. Meg, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with that one. A lot of Gary and I's interactions were like chirps. So most of the time it'd be like, oh, like I'd take a shot and like the goalie would save it, and he'd be like, oh, like nice pass, and I'd be like, thank you.
Classic line.
Classic line. Or he'd make like I don't know, he just made a lot of jokes. It was funny, like looking back on it. So his coaching style is very, very laid back. Even like he never really yelled either. And I came from coaches who were more vocal prior to college. So coming to Syracuse and playing, I remember there was this one instance, I think I was like 0 for 8 with shooting. I was having like the worst game ever. And Gary like looked at me and I like looked at him and he just like waved me over. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm gonna get screamed at right now. Because I like had just missed another shot or something. And he was like, so what are you doing out there? I was like, I honestly have no idea. I'm trying. And he was
Like,
like,
I really thought you were gonna yell at me.
yeah, he was basically was just like, take a second and like the shots will fall. And I was like, okay, like thanks. But in my head, I'm like, I just missed 8 shots. Like there's no way these are falling today. But it just,
Maybe next week.
yeah, he was just really laid back like that. And Kayla's also in a sense laid back too, but she just has more structure to her laid backness.
Yeah.
Where he was more go with the flow, I would say. But I think Meg kind of described it all. I just think their two coaching styles, as much as they're similar, they're also very different.
And it's so interesting because like she played for him. Like
Yeah.
he was also her coach. So you would think like coming from his like coaching tree, I guess she didn't coach under him, but yeah, it's just insane how different they are.
Yeah.
But anyways, enough about us. Back to you. So you've won national championship, ACC championship. Talk to us about the pressure, what that's like. Do you have any routines, superstitions? What does game day look like for you, especially in like at a high level in front of a lot of people?
Yeah, so one thing for me is I don't have superstitions, or at least not that I'm like aware of. I definitely have like routines where it's like get in the locker room, first thing, like change into like my sports bra spandex, everything. This is getting way too TMI. But just like not put my uniform on
Your
until a few seconds before.
Yeah.
Like certain things, like I naturally have like a routine, but I wouldn't say like I have any like specific superstition. Like if it's raining, I'll put my hair in a bun. Like I don't need the same hairstyle, like stuff like that. In high school, I used to always have to eat goldfish before a game. I don't know why that was like a thing.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, but nothing like that anymore. I'm trying to
Call it
think what
growth.
else. Yeah, exactly. More confident in who I am. What was the second part of that question?
Just like, do you do anything mentally to prepare? What does that look like for you on game day? Are you the one
Mentally?
that like is sitting in the locker room silent, headphones in, or like reading the scout? I don't know.
Yeah, so I am not a headphones in girl. Not before a game. I am chatting, talking in the training room, dancing in the locker room with the speaker on with everyone else. Like I like getting in my own little world to an extent. Like 10 minutes before the coaches come in, I'm always locked in on like our scouting report, reading it over. And those are like my 10 minutes of me time. Like people will know, like I'm looking down at the scouting report, sitting in my seat, like, oh, Belle's doing her thing. But until those like last 15 minutes, it's just typical, like preparing my body, getting hyped up, listening to music, stuff like that. No like specific routine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Good for you for growing out of your superstition. I feel like that's a
Isn't
tough
that
thing to
right?
do.
I know. So I used to always wear like the same socks. And I think it's just because like my freshman year, like as a nervous freshman, your first game, you play in it. And I was like, oh, like I didn't play bad. So I don't want to change anything. I mean,
Yeah.
not that I played well, but like I didn't make like a mistake. So I don't want to change anything. So like let me wear the same socks, the same sports, everything. And I think that's just like a nerves thing, like freshman year. And then like the more confident I got in like who I am and like my consistency, I was like, all right, my socks aren't gonna affect the way I'm playing.
For
Or at
sure.
least I tell myself that. And if I have a bad game, I'm like, maybe it was the socks.
It's always a nice thing to fall back on. Like, oh, I
Exactly.
didn't play that well. It's because I didn't wear the right
Yeah.
socks. That's why.
Oh, I didn't catch the ball. Like, let me just pretend I'm fixing my strings. No, totally my
Always.
fault. Yeah.
Always.
All right, cool. So aside from lacrosse, what are you doing after school? What are you studying at BC? Where are you do you know where you're gonna work, where you're gonna live?
So I am an applied psych major, communication minor, which isn't something I always wanted to do, but we take a bunch of core classes at BC. I'm sure you guys had a bunch as well at CUSE, but the more I just got to like talking with other people and stuff, I learned that like I'm a big communicator. I love connecting with people, learning more about how people think, stuff like that. So I switched majors into psych and I absolutely love it. I am actually going into more of the finance side after college. I am working at Blackstone this summer. I interned there last summer and got a return offer. So I'll be there working within the private wealth group, which I'm really excited about. So I'll be in New York City, which I'm excited about. There's a lot of BC people there that I know of, a lot of other people in the lacrosse world. As we all know, we're part of this small community that I know. Some I'm living with, some I'm going to see. So I'm excited for that part of my journey, but I'm definitely ready to be in the present with this one as well. So
Fun, that's awesome. Finance. That just could not be me. Okay, and then let's see. What is your favorite place to play other than BC?
I love this question because we talk about this all the time as a team, and especially like our specific midfield group. Like every time we get to a field, the first thing we say is like, "This field looks small. Like it's going to be a midi day. Like the 100 yards looks like 80 yards." Like we always measure it as like at least like some of the middies, like me, Ryan Smith, Cassidy Weeks, Andrea, Shea Baker. Like we're always looking like, okay, how big does the field look? How wide does it look for running purposes? So I'd have to say Alumni Stadium first. I know you said not to say BC, but like there's just so much camaraderie around that stadium for us, and good memories. So we don't start there every season. We start in Fish Field House, but our next game actually against Notre Dame is our first one in alumni. The bubble went down, so we'll be starting there next
Oh,
next
yeah. That'll
weekend.
be a great
And I also
game.
think that's a big part yeah, that's just a big part of our season too. Like we always say once we hit alumni, like it's a certain time of the year and like that's when we really like I feel like try and kick into gear and like connect and
Chills.
everything. Yeah, it's just exciting. I'm sure you guys get it. But other than home, because I can't say that, and this is gonna be annoying because I'm not just saying this because we won a national championship here, but Johnny U at Towson University, when I found out my freshman year, when we were going to the Final Four that it was there, I got so excited because I played on there all the time with like Under Armour events and stuff. And our championship games for Under Armour are always there. So like I had such good memories on that field and I've had like fortunately really good experiences there. So I was so excited because I was like, okay, like here I am as a freshman playing in a national championship. This is so new to me. At least like the field I'm playing on isn't new to me. Like this feels like somewhere I've been before. So that was something I felt like very grounded in going in my freshman year. Like I could be like nervous about certain things, but one thing I'm certain of is like I've played on this field before. I performed on this field before, and like I'm ready to kind of do it again. Uh, which I don't know, it might sound kind of cheesy, but like I love that field, and I was pumped up to play on that field for my freshman year.
Interesting. I
Mhm.
like that a lot. That field and stadium would never cross my mind as one of my favorite, but I feel like your reason is so like cool. Like
It's
it's very full
perfect.
circle.
Yeah, one thing I don't like about that stadium, I will say, is like the fans feel so far away.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm someone who
Yeah.
like likes being with chaos, likes a lot of people. Like I like that camaraderie. I feel like it's like social facilitation. There's my like AP
Oh my God.
There we go.
psychology word. Um, yeah, I like when the crowd's right there, and that's what I like about Alumni Stadium is even though it's a football stadium, it's like a more condensed one. So like that's one thing I didn't like about Johnny U, but I don't know. The other factors kind of take that away from me.
Yeah, no,
Cool.
that makes a lot of sense. That is a really cool reason though, and very full circle. Meg's right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then something that I wanted to talk about was so you kind of have mentioned like nerves a little bit for your freshman year. You came
Mhm.
into college as a very highly ranked player coming in, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So when you come in,
Same with you guys. I get awkward when people say that. I'm like, so much
no, I
you
know.
guys.
I am the same way,
Yeah.
but just to clarify, she was very highly ranked, very, very talented coming in. So going into college, when players kind of are on those lists and all that stuff that you see on social media,
Mhm.
there's a lot of hype around them. And then coming in and having to perform or kind of live up to those standards that are set for
Mhm.
you from other people. Was that something that you kind of felt coming in like, oh, I like have to perform a certain way or I'm expected to be this? And if if you did, that's totally normal. I kind of felt like
Yeah.
that too. I think a lot of people do.
Mhm.
But was there like a way you worked through it or was it kind of if you want to talk about that a little bit, I think that'd be great.
Totally. I'm sure you guys have felt it as well. So another day I'd love to hear about that aspect too, because I feel like people ask me this, but I want to hear from other people too that have been through it. But I definitely felt pressure. And I think till this day you feel pressure. You know, you guys get it. Like you're on a top program that's expected to win certain games. You're expected to perform a certain way. Um, and I think when people ask me about pressure, I kind of take it in like a positive light because I look at it as like if there's pressure on you, it's because you were doing something well. Like it's almost like a reward for something. Even if it's a reward you don't want pressure, it's like you only have pressure on you because you succeeded somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So like I try and look at it as like a positive thing, like and build confidence on it. Like there's pressure on me for a reason. That's my way to like tell myself not to like stress or get nervous about it. But obviously the nerves still come. Coming into my freshman year is a little different with COVID because even though I had pressure to do certain
Oh,
things,
right. Yeah.
we
Yeah.
didn't start certain practices for a while. So for me, I had COVID for a little bit. So like I wasn't in the first few practices. But then you get the expectation, you know, I come into practice and I'm like, do I have to perform on the first day? Like, do I have to show up like this? And I
Mm-hmm.
think one thing that was really helpful for me is I had two older sisters that went through the process before me. So like they always said, like, don't look at the rankings, don't look at any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like play your game and like the rest will follow. And like so anytime I had like a bad day of practice or I didn't feel like I like shined the way I hoped I would, like I would kind of just fall back on that and I'm like play your game and if it's what they want, the rest will take care of itself. So like I always kind of tried to tell myself that. I definitely think I put pressure on myself here and there, but like I tried to do it in ways to like build me up more than tear me down.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Absolutely.
I'm trying and then I will say one thing about my freshman year is like I went into games with really great leaders who were fifth year, like seniors and fifth years that were on the field with me. And I had a really special relationship with them where I remember Kara Urbank, she would pass me the ball and cut through and be like, go, like, we need you. And like, that was just something really special to me because like, I look at Kara Urbank, she was on the team for 5 years. She'd been to like 4 national championships and like, she wants me to do this for the team. And she's telling me that like, that's what they need. So like, I think all of that pressure can really subside depending on who's around you and who's building confidence in you. And I think the more comfortable I got with my teammates and the people that were the ones that I thought had so much pressure on me were actually the people who were taking it off of me, which I thought was really cool as I got closer with my teammates.
Yeah, that's such a great way to put it. Those people that are building that confidence, especially like
Mhm.
the upperclassmen, people that you probably looked up to before you
Mhm.
got to BC, and now you feel that confidence that they have in you, just really
Mhm.
helps with that pressure overall.
And it makes you want to do the same. Like now
Yeah.
I'm a senior and like I look at some of our freshmen playing and like I look back to the times where the seniors and fifth years said certain like one-liners to me that went a longer way than they would know. The fact that I'm still talking about it, they probably don't even remember saying certain things. I'm like, no, honestly, like, and I'm trying to do the same for those below me, which I'm sure you guys understand.
Yeah, no, there's nothing that's more special than, especially as a freshman coming into a team and having leadership or having captains
Mhm.
that are really looking out for you and they want
Mhm.
you to help the team succeed. They want to see you out there winning. It's not just, kind of in a bad leadership light, but that's a really special thing. And I think that is such a huge part, especially for you guys winning the national championship that year, to have that special bond and have that connection between those fifth years and freshmen.
Mhm.
It's such a huge thing. And I think it's a huge reason why other teams who also have like good leadership and stuff like that, that they kind of can get as far as they can get as well.
Yeah, I mean, we were young that year. Like, we went into that year like not even thinking that was like not thinking that was the main goal. It's always the goal, but like, like telling ourselves like we're a young team, and like the leadership just made us feel like we weren't young. And like that's like a really good goal to have as a leader, is like making everyone feel like they've been there for a few years, giving them, instilling that confidence that like, who cares if this is your first go around at a Final Four? Like, maybe that's a blessing. Maybe you haven't felt the heartbreak that other people felt. Like, let's do this damn thing.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I was wondering, and I want to learn a little bit about you, is your NIL deals. What do you have currently? Were you like doing real estate at one point or something? Just I want to hear about those.
Heck yeah, let's go.
People ask me this and I get really awkward about it, so I apologize. But I will do the best I can. So I am honestly, I think, in a really fortunate position. I want to say lucky, fortunate position where my team won the national championship in June of 2021, and NIL came out like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was in a really fortunate spot where I think like a week before, I fortunately was granted like freshman of the year, and on a national championship team. So when these NIL companies came out looking for interest in someone, the first thing they do is they're like, okay, who won the last national championship, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it was a month ago, and this player was recognized. Like, I just think the timing of it worked out really well for me, and I give that all to like my teammates and everything, because we won the national championship. And I was just a freshman. But I think that's kind of how it really started for me, is like people started reaching out to me, and I didn't even know NIL was like really a thing yet. I was like, okay, am I allowed to talk to you yet? I don't
Yeah,
really
exactly.
know. Because it happened so quickly after the national championship. Um, and yeah, I started with Lacrosse Unlimited because that is a place that I've gone to since I was literally like 5 years old. That's where like all my first stick came from, my first like lacrosse shirt, everything. And I knew that was like, you know what, if I started here, I want to be a part of this. So that's the first deal I started with. They reached out to me, and it was like a no-brainer. I was like, all right, let's do this thing. And then through them, I started working with STX. Now I'm with Maverick, so a few changes there. So currently I'm with Lacrosse Unlimited and Maverick as my like lacrosse sponsors, I guess you call it. And then I worked with Sine, which is a real estate company in Boston. So like I mentioned, I'm going to New York for working with Blackstone and private wealth this summer. So I thought like, if my whole thing was like NIL, I actually just took a class on this, but NIL is like, yes, you're making money, or yes, you're working with certain companies, but I just think it's also a huge resume builder. Like, to be able to like talk to someone in an interview and be like, I'm already working with these 4 companies and this is what I learned. Like, I knew I wanted to go into something like Blackstone. So like, I wanted to get an NIL deal with a real estate company because I wanted to learn more about that side of things. And I wanted to
Absolutely,
put on my
yeah.
resume and say I've already done this. So like, I was trying to like build my resume in that aspect for like what I wanted to do in the future after college, which I think really helped me when I did like interviews and such for post college jobs. And then I also have a deal with a motorsport company in Boston, and I currently have a car with them. So that's
Do you
been
actually? Is it a Bronco?
Toronto. Yep.
Yeah.
It's right outside my dorm. All
Oh
my friends
yeah.
dorm. Yeah, you see, as seniors, we live in a dorm. It's right
Oh,
outside my dorm. We basically, I don't want to say share it, but um, the roommates definitely get their fair share of driving it as well. So
that's so
That's a
fun.
good roommate
it's a team
move.
car.
So is that just yours for good now? Like,
So I have it. I got it going into junior year. So I think the least or I think I have it for like 3 years. And then we'll kind of like retalk after that. But right now it's mine,
That's sick.
which is
That
really
is
fun.
so
Yeah.
cool.
That's
Put in
really cool.
plenty of miles on that thing.
Yeah, I was very curious when you started posting the real estate. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
But no, that's really cool. And that's very smart of you too. Just like build your brand,
Mhm.
whether that's like professionally, personally, if you do want to like literally start your own brand. But I think it is great for kids that are just now getting into college and it is still so new. We're still like getting like shaking it out. So I feel like that's a very good point to just talk about, like, use it to build your brand, like partner with companies that you're proud to partner with,
Yep.
that have like good values. So it's a very
And
good
I'm
point.
also a Bronx lacrosse ambassador as of
Oh
a few.
yeah.
Oh
did.
yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
Which I don't
that's
know if it's
awesome.
technically NIL, but yeah, that's exciting too.
Fun.
I'd
No,
be
it's a
about-
great thing to be a part of. You're in good company over there too.
Mhm.
So that'll be exciting for you.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you are Maverick sponsor. What is your go-to setup? What's your stringing?
So I always get a little bit chirped for this on my team. I was always traditional stringing for
Mhm.
every lacrosse stick because like when we were younger, you guys get it, like mesh wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Like even I like am really bad at like talking lacrosse sticks, so I apologize. Like the rails with like the like circles, what
The
are the
beads on it or whatever. I don't know what they're called. Like,
yeah, I should know, but I don't. Like that wasn't even a thing. It was literally just traditional stringing.
Yeah.
So that's what I was used to my entire life. So I always just stuck with that. Like even when everyone started going to mesh and everything with the sticks, like it's like, oh, Belle's here with her traditional stringing. And Sam Abuza always said to me, she was like, all right, like we're gonna get you to mesh, we're gonna get you to mesh. So this upcoming season, I came in to school with a stick that I thought was considered mesh. It
Oh
was
no.
basically a traditional it was basically a traditional strung stick, except I took out like literally just the middle and like meshed that part.
Yeah.
And I was so excited to like tell Sam, I'm like, I went mesh, like, and she looks at my stick and she's like, Belle, this is literally fake mesh. Like, you're just using your traditional stringing, but changed one aspect so that you can say it's mesh. Like, this isn't like a mesh stick. And I was like, I just tried. Like, I can't get away from it. So my stringing, like, I don't even know if you'd call it like I have a guy at Lacrosse Unlimited string it for me. Like it's the most like unique. I have to show you guys a picture. Like
Yeah.
I don't even know like what you'd call it. Apparently it's not mesh. I thought it was.
it's like one of a kind.
It's a
You should make
hybrid.
it your
It's a
own.
hybrid.
I'm gonna like start trying to sell it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's with hybrid.
It's okay. Well, Meg and I use traditional as well.
Yeah.
And Kayla kept trying to get us to go to the mesh, and I just
Yeah.
couldn't. I
Yeah.
was a
it moves
traditional
too
girly.
much. I can't like. I feel like I don't feel the ball as well with the
Yeah,
mesh.
that's
I feel
why
like it could like go anywhere.
And I wanted Gary to string it with his hand, so yeah. Okay, cool. A few questions just outside lacrosse, just life. What do you guys do in your free time at BC, off the field? Do you have a wide open day? What do you guys do? Where do you like to go in Boston?
Yeah, so one thing fortunate that's like awesome about BC, which is something I loved about it from the start, was that it's not in Boston, the city, but it's a 15-minute car ride. Like I drive into Boston at least once a week. There's so many different places to go. We go to Fenway all the time. There's a ton of restaurants there. We go to Fenway games all the time. Definitely a fun going out life there. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on here.
Yes.
And then and then there's also like some really awesome streets, a lot of shopping. So if you're gonna go to BC, do a few lacrosse trainings first so that you can shop and not feel bad about it like me. Newberry Street's a big one. There's just a ton of food options walking around. I always go there with my family when they come and my sisters come up. Lots of shopping. We have a reservoir right near school, so it's like a big walking trail. People do that a lot for like self-care day. I think one thing about the BC lacrosse team specifically is we love the rec center sauna.
Ooh.
Anytime I go in the sauna, right before I get to the rec center, I'll like walk up to the sauna and I always see like BC cleats outside of it. I'm like, oh, one of my teammates is here. Like there's always a BC lacrosse player or two in the sauna, no matter what time of day it is. So that's one thing. Like I was never a sauna girl, and now at BC I probably sauna like 2 or 3 times a week.
That's so
awesome
fun.
that it's
Yeah.
like so
Mm-hmm.
what's the word? Accessible
Yeah.
Yeah,
for you
it's right
guys.
there. Our rec center for like students. I was gonna say regular students. For students is right next to Conti Forum, which is our football stadium, which is where we're located. So everyone's really close to each other, which is really nice at BC. Like my closest friends here, like a lot of them, like we're close to the athletes, but also are a ton of like non-athletes here, which is really nice because everything's so close together. So definitely the sauna. That's something Sid Scales and I do every off day, and Kayla as well. We'll sauna, and then we'll do like the new thing with like ice challenges where you like cold dunk for a few minutes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's like all over TikTok. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been trying to do that. She's a lot more disciplined with it than me. I'll like submerge to like my neck, and I'm like, I'm done. She's like, just an inch further. I'm like, I can't. But that's what we try and do on our off days. So
It's so funny the difference between them and us.
yeah,
Like,
what about you?
we
Honestly,
have
I
no
feel that
shopping.
sometimes you do a lot of campfires at your houses.
Yeah, we would do
Yeah, we
campfires.
love
That was
campfires.
Like
fun.
off campus house, but I'm not
Mhm.
off campus senior year.
Yeah.
So
Last year during our 5th year, we were big on like outdoor activities, whether that was like Foursquare or like
really,
Yeah, we were big into Foursquare in the spring. I don't know what happened, but
or
it was
like
just like
tennis or going to play
we're a big
basketball.
we're a big pickup basketball
Yeah.
team, but that ended quickly.
Yeah. We would play pickup basketball, obviously being smart about
Mhm.
like if we're
we
in
were not.
season or
Well, actually, I didn't ever play, but I would
you did
watch
not.
them
Yeah.
play. It wasn't anything like they weren't really going at each other like that.
Yeah.
It was very laid
Now
back.
we're like, oh, like basketball shoot arounds. Anybody?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
Well,
thank you for your time. Really appreciate it.
of course.
And good luck with
Notre
the
Dame.
rest of your season. Yeah, big
Thanks,
game against
guys.
Notre Dame.
Watch some Notre Dame film for me. Let me know if you have any tips.
We'll
So
send them through.
I'll-